sitting in the corner. To Tom Sr. and Tom Jr., thank you so much for hosting the event today and all the work that you're doing for green energy. We just thought it was a great opportunity to share this information and for the community to know what each of us is doing. So we're going to have a couple of other speakers besides Cedar and I, because we want you to know who Cedar is, and we want you to know what work is, and we also want you to kind of think maybe where you might fit into that, why you should care. So many of you already know that she's running for mayor, and that's $1 equals 1 vote. That money doesn't go to Cedar, by the way. That all goes to the Table Mountain Animal Center Shelter. Linda Humphrey's over here from the foundation, and she's going to talk in a little bit about all of that. And Cedar reminds me every day, and as many of you as she ever talks to live greener, live healthier, and bark about it. Now, who is this Cedar dog? Well, she was a rescue dog. And it's quite an interesting story because, you see, Cedar she's a pure bred Chesapeake Bay Retriever, and the breeder sold her to a guy who wanted her to hunt. Well, Cedar had already figured out that was not her life's work. And so she didn't do very well, and as a result, he beat her. He penned her up outdoors, and eventually he hurt her throat. And as a result, and this is the good part of the story, some of the neighbors in the community and the breeder found out about it, and they took her back, they retrained her, they renamed her, and about that time we came along and we were looking for a rescue, just like Cedar. So it all turned out so beautifully. Today she's an author and a pet therapy dog and an eco-bark-a-lot. And everybody wants to know, well, what's an eco-bark-a-lot? Well, I think basically it's somebody like Tom who's just been talking. It's somebody who walks their talk. And you've made a choice to be green, and then what? There's so much to know, and Melissa's going to talk a little bit about that from waste management. You know, this stuff is fun, and it's always changing, but there's a lot to learn. So it's really walking your talk, and after you do that and do some practice, then it's telling others. Find 5 other people that you want to tell, and have them become green, and have them learn about the impact that their pet has on the earth. Cedar's environmental work began 4 years ago in 2006. Inconvenient truth, and watching the video to our pets. We had 3 cats and 2 dogs, and we huddled around, and Cedar was really shocked. She said, "Mom, there's nothing in this book about a pet's carbon footprint. We've got to do something." So, as a result, we began looking at our own life and how we were, or if we were, green. And sadly enough, we didn't measure up very well. We looked at our waste stream, and then we walked around the neighborhood and looked at the poop that dog waste was on the streets, and next to the stormwater drains, and on the sidewalks, and maybe some of it was even over on the grass. And that just didn't make sense to us, but we also knew that sometimes we didn't pick it up. And then we were walking back and we saw all these garbage cans on waste day when the garbage truck comes around, and people had 7 and 8 cans of waste. Gosh, we had 3 or 4, and we thought, we've got to make a change. So with that, we began learning, and we're proud to say today that we always pick up the poop, especially in our yard, a couple times a day. We always pick it up on a walk with a biodegradable bag, and get this, if we find somebody else who doesn't pick it up, we go and offer them one. And then as far as our waste stream was concerned, we cut back, so we have 1/2 of 1 garbage can. And since we live in the neighborhood, any of you are welcome to come by on garbage day and see our 1/2 of 1 container. And to do that, we had to learn how to recycle and to reduce. And we had to learn how to reuse some of the stuff. We now compost, We're going to learn how to compost with worms. And it's all been a lot of fun. And so after this work had happened, Cedar says, Mom, we've got to put pen to paper. We got to tell others. So we did just that. This was the first book we published. It's kind of a guide about a pet's impact on the earth. And this was the second book that came out in 2009. And this is a kid's activity book, which really begins to talk about Cedar's eco agenda, which I'll say something about in a moment, and her ABCs for sustainability. So I think one of the things that you're hearing here is that what Cedar and I learned spills over into the family, it spills over to the people, it spills over to our neighbors who we talk to, and community visits like gatherings like this. We've joined the recycle group in Edgewater.